Good afternoon and welcome to our NAPW eChapter meeting. I am thrilled that each of you has carved out some time in your busy schedules to join us today as we celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm equally proud of the continued growth of our eChapter. I've got this big smile on my face and I'm sure you know why. Our membership is just shy of 3,600 members. Wow. Thank you all for your very positive response to our virtual chapter, and we owe its success to absolutely each and every one of you. Thank you again for your support of this effort, this initiative. It's been truly amazing to see the eChapter take off, and I want to keep this momentum going and continue to grow our chapter. We have a really fantastic meeting planned for you today with a terrific panel of our Latina sisters who are excelling in business and as entrepreneurs, including an executive from our valued partner, Capital One. Louise Newsom, our National Director of Chapters, or my yin to her yang, will introduce them to you all shortly. You'll also meet three outstanding VIP members in our VIP Member Spotlight segment. If you're looking for inspiration, you need to look no further than our panelists and VIP members. I can't wait to hear their stories of success. But before I turn the meeting over to Louise, I want to encourage you to participate in our polls throughout the meeting. Remember, this is supposed to be interactive. I really love this interactive aspect of the meeting. It gives us some great insight on our attendees and what you're looking for in your eChapter. Many of you have made this eChapter your home away from your physical local chapter when your schedule won't allow you to attend a meeting. Share your experience with the members of your network so we can reach 10,000 members of the eChapter by the end of the year. Won't that be great? So without further ado, it's my pleasure to introduce Louise Newsom, the president of our New York City chapter and NAPW's National Director of Local Chapters. She and her team will spearhead our eChapter, and she will facilitate today's meeting as usual. Louise, over to you.
Thank you, Star, and welcome NAPW members. As we head into our third eChapter, we are seeing that things are really shaping up with over 600 members who registered for today's event. 2 weeks ago, as Star mentioned, we had almost 2,000 members who joined the eChapter, and today I'm excited to announce that our eChapter has increased to over 3,500 members, NAPW's fastest growing chapter to date. Our first 500 members who joined the eChapter have been recognized as inaugural members, with a badge honoring this status placed on their napw.com profile. Congratulations to those members. The eChapter enables all members of NAPW to be part of a networking community, especially for those who do not have a local chapter in their area. I welcome all the attendees, and I'm truly honored to be the host of NAPW's National eChapter, our virtual online chapter for NAPW members only. At our eChapter events, we encourage you to be connecting with your fellow members and, of course, asking questions along the way. You will see the chat bar on the right side of your screen, and if you want to specifically ask a question today, please click on the little arrow on the chat box icon where you type and click Ask a Question. This will highlight your questions and alert our corporate chat moderators who are online with us today. They are Terry Gladwell, VP of Marketing, who you'll see chatting along with you today throughout the event. Sam Picorni, our local chapter manager, who will do her best to offer technical support if needed. And Kim Brown, National Director, Editorial and Communications, who will be inviting and encouraging you to chat with each other and ask questions to share with our panel a little later. Please understand that we might not have time to go through all the questions today and appreciate your patience and understanding. You will also see several times during the event a poll pop up on your screen. Please take a minute to answer the questions. Also, post-event, there'll be a short survey sent out with the recorded version of today's event. Please take a few minutes to fill this out. Again, your feedback is very important to us. The agenda for our event today is that we'll be showcasing 3 VIP member spotlights before we invite our 3 fabulous panelists on to discuss leadership and management and how they, as Hispanic women, have navigated themselves in their professional fields and how they would define success as the largest minority group in the United States. This will be followed by the attendee Q&A moderated by Kim. So again, don't forget to ask questions during our panel discussion, remembering to state what part of the country you're joining us from today so we can share that with everyone. So for our first spotlight, I'd like to welcome our VIP member, Camille Shepherd Parrish, author of Successful Women Date Differently. She is a relationship and life strategist, poet, speaker, radio and TV host, CEO of Heart Speaks Publishing, LLC. Camille. Camille, you're still muted. You need to unmute yourself. No, we cannot hear you. Go to the center of your screen and see where your camera option is. Next to it is your mute and unmute button. Okay, Camille, I think what we're going to do while you're working this out is if you can go off camera, and I'm going to introduce our next VIP spotlight, Jacqueline Robinson. Jacqueline Robinson was in the pharmaceutical industry for over 30 years as a hospital district sales manager and received numerous sales awards throughout her career, being recognized for exemplary leadership skills as a recipient of Merck's Amazing Women of 2007. As a result of being downsized in 2009 and taking a retirement package, she turned a life-changing experience into a positive one by starting her seminar business, Retire and Reinvent, a division of JRR Consulting Incorporated, which teaches professional baby boomer women how to transition into retirement using their passions, talents, and skills to bring purpose to this next phase of their life. Jacqueline.
Thank you, Louise. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a question for all of the baby boomers out there. And if you're not a baby boomer, you certainly know some, so please take a listen. As Louise mentioned, I started my business, Retire and Reinvent, and created the seminar, Passion and Purpose, A Guide to Rewriting Life After Retirement, as a result of being downsized. It was also a result of having family members and friends who found themselves in similar situation come to me and ask me for advice. The seminar was designed to help professional baby boomer women to transition into this next phase of life with purpose. You know, as women, we've spent so many years being the caregivers to others, building successful careers, you know, even putting our own dreams on hold. And sometimes just because we're so engaged in the now, we've given very little thought to this next phase of life. So Passion and Purpose, A Guide to Rewriting Life After Retirement, was designed to help professional baby boomers transition into this next phase of life with purpose. The seminar is designed to help you identify your passions, to utilize the skills and talents that you truly enjoy using, as well as to reconnect, rediscover hidden dreams, or perhaps even create new ones to help you to transition into this next phase of life with purpose. And hopefully that purpose will also allow you to serve others as well. Ladies, retirement is not the end of achievements. It's a continuation of a life of your choice. So I ask you all to please go to my website, retireandreinvent.com, to get additional information about my seminar, as well as information on our upcoming seminar in October. Thank you. It's on October 24th. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Camille, I'm going to ask you to come back on, and let's see if we can get you working one last time before we go over to our last VIP spotlight. Camille, are you there? No, we cannot hear you. Here we go, Camille. I think we can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can. Go right ahead.
Okay, wonderful. So I had a question for everyone as well. Good afternoon, ladies. Did you know that where you live can make a huge difference in how often and whom you date? Consistently up and down the East Coast, there are more single women than there are single men. But when you go to the West Coast, just the opposite is true. As was mentioned, I'm the author of the new book, Successful Women Date Differently, and it is available on Amazon.com. And I know many of you are very successful in your careers, but I want you to just imagine how it would feel to be just as successful in love and in all of your relationships. I'll never forget when I was about 40 years old, I was divorced from a 17-year-old relationship. And I was very successful in all areas of my life, but I just couldn't figure out how to attract a high-quality man. And I remember wondering, why was I so educated and smart, but I couldn't figure out how to attract a good man. And when I looked around, I started noticing that a lot of my colleagues felt the same way. They were very single, they were successful, and they were beautiful, but they couldn't attract love. So this phenomenon fascinated me so much that I started doing research. And what I found is that it all tied back to this thing I called emotional conditioning. You know, as children, we develop these layers based on our parental imprint and our experiences, and it is actually referred to as emotional DNA. And on top of that, we also develop an internal survival mechanism. And what I found, because many of us haven't resolved our childhood issues, we continue to attract the same type of man that's not necessarily a good man, making repeated dated mistakes in our life over and over again. And what I found as women is that we need to rewire our survival mechanism. And the way we have to do that is by changing a thought, a feeling, or an action that's associated with triggers that occur in our life. And I call this process getting your mind right. And I've actually developed a program called The Blueprint to Dating Differently. And ladies, you have to keep in mind, this is not just a neck-up endeavor. This process really requires healing and learning and shifting. And you have to combine it with experiential work and accountability partners. And I'll be hosting a book tour starting in October. I'll be visiting several cities around the United States to help women reconnect with themselves, to fall in love with themselves again. And I'll be guiding them through this transformational process. I also have a 6-month coaching program that will begin in January 2016. And if you'd like to join me on my tour, at one of my workshops, or even on my live coaching program, please visit CamilleShepard.com, or you can reach out to me via email inside of the National Association of Professional Women. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Camille. Well, last but not least, Jamila Brown is an NAPW Birmingham, Alabama local chapter vice president and a serial entrepreneur with investments in multiple companies in the area of technology and media over the last 15 years. She has experience creating solutions for multiple Fortune 100 companies. Jamila holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Computer Information Systems and a Master's of Science degree in Instructional Technology. Her credentials also include various certifications in project management, web, and technology solutions. Jamila.
Thank you so much, Louise, for that great introduction. Hello, ladies. I'm so excited to be speaking to you today. As Louise mentioned, I've been in the tech industry for over 15 years, and one thing that I have noticed is there's not a lot of women in technology. According to Forbes.com, women hold 27% of the tech jobs that are available, even though we hold 60% of the bachelor degrees. So why should men have all the fun and make all the money? We want to close this gap and allow more women to gain access to these high-paying careers. And so today I want to talk about 4 steps to help achieve that. So step 1 is to explore opportunities. NAPW has a great opportunity where you can go and click on the career tabs and insert any of the tech job keywords. Say, for instance, you can type in Microsoft SharePoint, and you will see that there are tons and thousands of jobs that are available and that are just waiting for you right now. The second step is to decide your career path. You don't necessarily just have to go into coding. There are other opportunities such as design. You can be an analyst, a system admin, an architect. So there's a lot of opportunities. You just have to decide which career path that you would like to go down. Okay, and third is to make sure that you get trained. This is very important, especially with the new technology changing. Make sure that you're up to date on the latest and greatest technology. And also, lastly, make sure that you're prepared. And that goes along with making sure that your resume is up to date, that it's properly formatted, that you actually do some research on the company to make sure that you understand the culture, the environment, And then hiring managers really like to see what you've done in the past, such as if you created solutions to help solve problems, they love that. So make sure that you expound more on that as well. And so in closing, whether you are a hiring manager or you're looking to get into the technology career, we have tons of upcoming opportunities such as webinars, seminars. We do all kinds of different things to help you prepare for those jobs in technology. Just make sure that you contact us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila, and to all our VIP spotlights today. September recognizes Hispanic heritage on the NAPW Foundation calendar, and we've invited today 3 aspirational VIP members in the field of entrepreneurship, business, finance, and technology to be part of a panel discussion defining their success and how their heritage has impacted them professionally. I would like to introduce to you Maria Andrea Gerling Ospina. She is the Director of US Card Capital One and leads the Hispanic segment team within the Branded Card organization. In her role, she is leading the definition of the servicing intent, developing multiple touch points for the Hispanic portfolio, and defining the marketing strategies. Maria Andrea comes from her previous role as Chief of Staff for a senior card executive, where she implemented effective management practices for leaders, decision-making process, and drove the implementation of local people initiatives. Before that, she spent 6 years on the retail banking side of Capital One. She has solid experience in managing large, complex programs that were addressing customers' and bankers' experiences, as well as servicing aspects of retail business. In her last role at the bank, she led the intent development of the banker's sales tool leveraging Card Iris application. Maria Andrea was born and lived in Bogota, Colombia until graduating from business school. Now she lives in Charlottesville, Virginia with her husband, Greg Gerling, a systems engineering professor at the University of Virginia. Next, we have Ruth Garcia Corrales on the line. Now, we might not actually see Ruth's picture today. We had some technical issues, but we will definitely hear her voice. Ruth manages and develops new relationship marketing programs at Curaçao PR and Community Affairs Department. After her appointment as Consul General for the Republic of Costa Rica, Jerry Azarkman, founder of Curaçao, now known as Curaçao, asked her to be part of the company. Ruth is currently writing the memoir of Jerry Azarkman. She has 6 kids. Their names are Kid, a 9-year-old boxer, Isis, an 8-year-old schnauzer, Nina, a 4-year-old dachshund, Baby Blue, a 14-year-old blue gold macaw, and Torombolito, a 20-year-old Indian ringneck bird, and Napoleon, a 20-year-old turtle. She is also a highly respected NAPW Los Angeles chapter president for the past 5 years, along with being NAPW's Western Regional Manager in her 2nd term. And last but not least, Alyssa Ramos is presently the CEO, Chief Events Officer of the award-winning K-Bell Event Production and Marketing, which provides event and marketing services to individuals and corporate clients. Some of the most impactful events produced include grand opening of IKEA Miami, the Safe Haven for Newborns Gala, and most recently the grand opening for Toyota of North Miami. Prior to her current position, Alyssa was the Executive Vice President for Latin Builders Association, the largest Hispanic construction association in the U.S., where she executes an assortment of events, such as Decision 2012 with Republican presidential candidates and black tie galas in excess of 1,000 guests. While earning her bachelor's degree in business administration at Florida International University and completing a business development certification at the University of Michigan, she held positions such as senior customer service representative and value-added packaging supervisor at Bacardi USA Incorporated. Alyssa currently participates as a chair in 2 committees for local Miami chambers and is particularly enthused to be the Eastern Regional Manager and Miami Chapter President for the National Association of Professional Women. Although her professional accomplishments are vast, she is most proud of her role as a wife for over 15 years and a mother to her 2 beautiful children, Soleil and Beau. Welcome, ladies. A pleasure to have you at our eChapter event today. Ladies, if you can unmute yourselves and bring yourselves onto the camera, that would be wonderful. Hi, Ali.
Hi.
Hi, Maria Andrea. And I know that we have Ruth, just your voice, because we had some technical issues. Ruth, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Wonderful.
Can you hear
Okay,
me?
well, yes, we can, and we have your gorgeous picture up. Okay, so I'd like to start and open up this discussion with a question to all of you. And let's get straight to the point. What defines success for you as a leader in your field and within your community? We'll start off with Maria Andrea. Maria.
Thank you, Luis. I would say I have been here in the States for the last 14 years working for Capital One, and I think what defines me as a leader and in my bank and in my community has been that I have infused the philosophy of my values in the work that I do, but I also has adapted to the American culture. So it's like I bring the best of the two worlds to become the leader that I'm today. And I also bring the passion that I have for the things that I believe. So in each of the roles that I have been doing at Capital One, I always ask myself if that would be something that I'm passionate, that I would do for others, that it's aligned to my values. And I think that has helped me to become the leader that I'm today.
Thank you, Maria Andrea. Ruth, would you like to add in your thoughts here?
Sure, Luis. I just want to start thanking you, Luis, for giving us this opportunity, and to corporate for creating the eChapter. That I think this is a wonderful opportunity for all our members. And thank you so much for having us today. First, I will start that I believe success is a feeling. It's when you say yes, you know, I got it, I have it, I want this, and I got it. It's what makes us proud. It's achieving my purpose. But I think success starts much, much before you get that feeling. It's really after the fact. Success is like after the fact, because it's the product, I believe, of a formula. The formula starts by adding your dreams, plus adding your visualizations, your plans, your objectives. And once you have this clear, your path is clear, then I believe that you start the execution towards that success. And that execution is going to have a lot of roadblocks and a lot of challenges that you have to overcome to get through. And once you do that, then you accomplish, and your feeling of success manifests. In my world, I can tell you that using my creativity, doing marketing campaigns for the Hispanic market and converting that value to the community that I work for is what brings me success. When I see the smile in the customers of the company I work for and see the smile of what we've done for them, it's what feels me successful.
Thank you, Ruth. Wonderful. Ali, are you there? I see that you've gone off camera.
Yes.
Hi.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry.
Wonderful.
This was a mistake. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Basically, I agree with Ruth. Thank you so much for having us here. I've always been a very career-driven person, and I think a lot of it has to do with my ethics of my Hispanic background growing up, always being told you have to work hard, and really make something of yourself. Being an example to women around us is also a privilege, because when you have girls that are growing up and looking up to you, I think that's something that more than anything in the world is an honor to me, because then they're taking on the role of your successes as well. And then as far as a mother is concerned, I am trying to be the best example I can for my daughter so that she grows up with the same work ethics that I grew up with and was engraved in my head, so to say. So it's definitely something that I'm very proud of.
Thank you, Ali. Ladies, this is actually another question for all of you again, and we'll start off with Ruth on this one. In 2012, National Business Women's Journal census stated that Hispanic women were more likely to be the financial head of the household, with an increase in women-owned businesses within the community. Can you share with us what areas you've seen growth in the Hispanic community amongst professional women? Ruth?
Yes, in general, Luis, data points that new entrepreneurs in USA are diverse. 40% of the current entrepreneurs identify themselves as African American, Hispanic, Asian, or non-white. This data, I've just seen some data projection from Geoscape that says that in 2015, their projections are that the Hispanic business owners are going to increase to 57%. So if we go to the women, Hispanic women, it's even more impressive, the numbers. The National Women Business Council just released some numbers of a growth of 87% in Hispanic women growth between the years of 2007 and 2012. And I personally have seen a great growth of women involved in business, especially on networking businesses. I believe that having a support group has helped women, Hispanic women, get in business. A lot of women become in the universities looking for careers. I've seen a lot of attorneys. It could be the effect of the immigration laws and all this, and in the food industry and the textile industry. But there's all these changes coming along, and it has to be more with the transition that we've seen in the segment of Hispanic women, and especially that women that is bicultural, because it has the two worlds. It has the traditional women that it's more emotional and spiritual supporter, through now the new cultural women that is a provider in their household. So this has been changing in the last years and increasing the amount of Hispanic, Latina women involved in business.
Thank you, Ruth. Maria Andrea, what have you seen? What's your experience with this? Oh, you have to unmute yourself, Maria. You're still muted. Nope, you're still muted.
There?
There you go.
Okay. For everyone on the panel, I forgot to mention that I'm here in Virginia, and actually I work in the headquarters for Capital One, which is in Northern Virginia. So I would say my answer is influenced by that. I have seen a lot of growth of Hispanic women in Hispanic Hispanic women in the firms that I work with as lawyers, especially in the financial industry or servicing industry and the digital companies, which is most of our partners. So I have seen a real increase on that role. I would say is because you have the bicultural experience and background. So being bilingual right now is one of the hot topics that every company is trying to see. What are the lines to provide a good bilingual service, how you comply with regulations in the industry, in the servicing industry. So surprisingly enough, actually, we were commenting the other day with the legal counselor in our office that most of the applicants are women that are bilingual and have a Hispanic heritage and background.
So thank you, Maria Andrea. Yes, I think to your point that obviously what you experience definitely depends on what part of the country you live in. So Ali, based on the fact that you are down there in Miami, tell us a little bit about your experience.
Well, definitely, I think English is a second language in Miami, to tell you the truth. But in my experience, I've seen a lot of growth in the technology and construction industry amongst women. It's been something that's been definitely slowly working its way up, but in my experience working with all my different clients, I realized that I started working with a lot more women now than I have in the past, particularly in the technology as far as actually programming, putting infrastructure together, and then on the construction side, a lot of project planners, a lot of women that are willing to put on some hard hats and put on their boots and get to work because they really enjoy the whole engineering and the structural part of it. So I've seen a lot of growth. I think overall the transition has been from women that have been told this is what they need to do because that's what women are good at, and they've transitioned out of those roles and said, you know what, I can do anything, and really been empowered to take on something more challenging. And they really want to learn something new and step above the standard. So that's what I've seen. Mostly technology and construction, but overall women are just doing amazing things in different fields.
Thank you, Ali. Ruth, this is a question for you. You were appointed Consul General of Costa Rica for the West Coast of the United States, organizing support committees for cultural events, the Rose Parade, and gathering hundreds of volunteers. As a representative of your community, do you feel you've been an influencer and mentor to women of the Hispanic community? And what changes have you witnessed from then until now?
Luis, I was Consul General. I was the first Consul General woman and youngest at that time for Costa Rica in this area of the country. And I have tons of stories that I could share. But one that I remember is that each time I came to an event with my husband, everybody went to say hi to him, thinking that he was the Consul General. They never thought it was me. So I had to impose myself with character, perseverance and smartness. But I can tell you that what changed and turned around my whole position was when I started organizing the community and gathering volunteers, motivating them, creating all kinds of programs and ideas to unify them and bring together the community. Unifying them gave me the possibility of connecting and putting them to work together. But women were the drivers. Men were following their women into these events. And yes, I can tell you I became a very strong influence in my community. Until today, when I see some of them, they say, oh, we miss so much the times where you were Consul General. But one of the things that I can tell you is that with my leadership, I motivated all these women that till today, most of them are contributing to the community. They're volunteers in organizations, they're fundraising, and all the tasks that they perform and all the process that they learn through the community volunteering has helped them in their regular life. So I tell everybody that I know, please volunteer, because this gives you an additional edge, that experience that you won't get anywhere else. You'll have to learn how to tolerate people, how to tolerate things, how to handle communication. So many tasks and things that you learn that you won't learn at school and you won't learn at home or at work. So thank you, Luis, for this.
Well, Ruth, you've certainly been a very strong influence on me for all the years that we've been working together. Wonderful. Maria Andrea, at Capital One, you're leading the Hispanic segment team within the Branded Card Organization. In your role, you're leading the definition of the servicing intent, developing multiple touch points for the Hispanic portfolio, and defining the marketing strategies. Please share with us some of your initiatives around those marketing strategies and the difference of how you market to Hispanic women versus Hispanic men.
Thank you, Luis, for this opportunity. First, I would have to say to everyone that we don't market differently Hispanic women or men, and even we don't market differently Hispanic and English Americans or U.S. or any other race here in the U.S. So we all market the same to everyone, our products. However, what we see a differentiator is on the service. So what we're trying to do is, like, for the degree of like acculturation that you will see across the Hispanic community, there's people that feels more comfortable speaking in Spanish and servicing their products or their financial needs in Spanish. So we are allowing them to make that choice. So when they meet us in a channel of preference, and especially now we're pushing a lot the digital channels, they can select Spanish. So that's what we're trying to do for them. We're trying to please the customer on the language of choice. And I can say a lot of Hispanics now are bicultural. So at times they want to speak in Spanish, but for example, when they want something in writing, they want it in English. So I think that has been our strategy. Don't assume that people that are Hispanic background will like everything in Spanish or market them differently. I think it's like their choice when they have questions or servicing needs, that they will select the channel and they will select the language they feel more comfortable with.
Thank you. Very interesting. Ali, in your previous role as the Executive Vice President for Latin Builders Association, the largest Hispanic construction association in the US, how did you position yourself to achieve this high-level role as a woman and as an Hispanic woman in this predominantly male field?
Well, Louise, I can tell you it wasn't easy. And nothing that's really worth it is. It came down to a lot of confidence and communication. I think that if those two skills alone could be taught in every school across the nation, we'd all be a lot better off. It took a lot of confidence to believe in everything that I had done previously, to count on my experiences, and to believe in myself that I was exactly where I was supposed to be, and I was making decisions that were solid decisions that were based on my experience, my education, and my corporate background at Bacardi, which I learned a lot. Dealing with a lot of men in the construction industry was not easy. Sometimes we had board meetings where all of them would look at me like, oh, well, you're a woman, you don't understand. And I will tell you that it was definitely challenging, but you can't back down. You have to be strong, you have to stand up, and you have to be confident in what you're doing. And you need to communicate that properly. You really need to be able to have your voice be heard and follow through on what you're saying. If you speak the world and make a lot of promises and don't come through on it, they're definitely going to call you out, and they're going to go back to saying the same thing. Oh, well, you're a woman, you don't understand. Oh, she has too many things going on. So you have to stand up and wear the pants. You know, you have to really be strong in what you're doing. So those two words in itself, confidence and communication, were my biggest skills that I needed to bring to the table, and I learned that that's where I was going to strive and really prove to them that I was where I was supposed to be, and I was just as qualified as them to sit at the table.
Thanks, Ali. The next question actually is for all of you panelists today. Hispanic women are often surrounded by strong-willed, hard-working, and purpose-driven role models. And it's often said that it's through their relationship that the traditions, values, and legacy of the family have been upheld. How do you feel that has impacted Hispanic women professionally? And do you think it gives them an edge to be able to become leaders in their field today? Maria Andrea, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Luis. I certainly think that my background, my strong family values, and having them as my support system have been definitely critical for me and pushing forward on my success in the company that I work for. My company is also very male-dominant, actually less diverse in foreigners. So when I joined Capital One 14 years ago, and I have like even more a thick accent that I have today, you know, my culture, the way I express myself, the strong will, the confidence that I projected, I think have been an asset in the company, have been a way to position myself like in a different way as a leader, and be par with like a white male, you know, director at my same level. But I think I bring that edge of the passion that I come with, And I think that has been one of my values. And I think, you know, one of the panelists mentioned it. Like, we learn from very small, like, you need to do something good, exceed, and push forward. And those values want to instill in me, and I think that has been part of, like, what I represent within my organization, and I think they value that. They value that I bring that to the table. Right. And integrity and consistency of integrity, very important. Ali, do you have some thoughts here?
Well, you took the words out of my mouth. Actually, I was making some notes. Consistency is definitely part of what you need to do. It goes back to what I was just saying, working in a man's world, that you need to speak up and then follow through on what it is you're saying. You need to be consistent about that as well, because if you are really good one day and the following day it's, you know, you're just not bringing your A game, they're definitely not going to expect anything more from you, and they're kind of going to dismiss you. Sometimes those are the days that they're watching you the most, and by they I mean everyone, man, women, anybody. And then they're always going to find excuses to blame whatever went wrong because of your either background or because you are a woman and so forth. So I totally agree with Maria Andrea that it's one of those things you definitely have to stand your ground. You need to be confident and look confident regardless of how you're feeling inside. That's one of the biggest problems that as women we have. We have so many things going on that sometimes it's difficult. You know, you're juggling. It's a juggling act. So you have to make sure that you're juggling and you're doing it well. As many balls as you have in your hands, you need to make sure that you're doing that well and you look good doing it as well. So definitely confidence and continuous confidence in the way that you present yourself is very important.
Right, and Ruth?
I will say that we all have our mothers and grandmothers that have given us examples of strength and moral values. Teachers have helped us guide us to become what we are today. And education has opened the doors to develop our brains and open our opportunities. We all have friends that push us to be better and to achieve. But in the Hispanic world, it's essential for us, the family. The family is what glue us to keep us together and that bring us back to reality too. We all have role models when we were growing up, and today I would say we have an obligation to become those role models for others, and especially mentors, so much needed to help in our immediate communities to open doors. Like the well-known phrase, you know, of Kevin Spacey, something that says like, if you do well, it's your responsibility to send the elevator back down. I think in the Hispanic community in U.S., it's evolving to that segment of acculturation where women are taking advantage of those two worlds that we have been mentioning in the whole conversation, and they are developing themselves and taking advantage of those two bilingual, bicultural, and getting to do business in both worlds. But the important thing is that Hispanics are the largest and fastest growing minority in the U.S. We're talking about 17% of the entire population, and we're talking about more than 50 million Hispanics. So business opportunities in all this section is driving, and women are taking those flags and executing them.
Thank you, Ruth. Maria Andrea, question, some key women that have influenced you. Name a few and tell us a little bit about how they did influence you, personally and professionally.
Yeah. First, I would say my mother. My mother has been a great influencer on me for both professionally and personally. And I would say because two things. She taught me that the sky's the limit. So anything I want in the world, I will be able to get it. But she also taught me something very important to compete with others or male, which is the brain connected to the heart. You know, we have that edge. We're different because we have the brains, but we also have the heart, and that gives you a different point of view and a different perspective. And the second woman that has influenced me a lot has been Mother Teresa of Calcutta. And, you know, that is in a sense of the spiritual side of things. And even though I'm in a world of, you know, financial industry and a corporate world where you want to be successful, having her as the role model of humbleness, of like helping others, has been a key factor for developing me as a professional and my leadership style. So those two women.
Maria, Andrea, you know, you talked about the brain and the heart being connected. I mean, working in a world that maybe where there is a lot of men around you, do you find that that can get in the way sometimes, or do you actually find it to be a benefit?
Overall, I would say it's a benefit. Definitely, you will get some people that is gonna tell you, like, go against that, you know, because when you use words like I feel or but as I said always, like, net, I think most people has valued that, because in a lot of the business decision, you don't only need the brain, the analytics, is the gut feeling. Like, what is driving you to pursue that idea that cannot be shown with numbers? So I think at the end, everyone has valued that part of me that has gone with, like, this is my gut feeling, like, this is what I feel is right, and it has been a positive overall. But I agree with you. I think, you know, I have heard criticism sometimes for that, because when you're also passionate, it come across like, you know, too abrasive, or that you're too much, you're hard on it instead of brains. But, you know, I will keep doing it, but always connect your brain with your heart. Like, I think that's a key differentiator for us.
Actually, a question has come in from Meredith Archibald. I'm not sure where she's located, but the question is, as someone who works in the legal industry now and formerly worked in banking, I want to ask if you feel you've ever been passed over because of your gender, and how did you overcome that?
No, I have never felt that. I cannot say that in the place work that I'm here today, like Capital One, and actually they were the ones who brought me here to the States. I never have felt that way or see a situation like that. It would be hard for me to comment on that, because I haven't never experienced it.
Okay, well, thank you, Maria Andrea. Ali, I want to ask you, go back to the beginning here and ask you a question about some key women that have influenced you personally and professionally.
I'm with Maria Andrea. My mom has been a big influencer, more because I've seen her through her struggles and what she's told herself she has not been able to do. I think I've learned from her experiences. But professionally, I have someone that I looked up to very early in my career, or very early in my profession, period, is the Executive Vice President of Human Resources at Bacardi at the time when I was working there. He taught me that you have to have a very loaded toolkit. And that toolkit is filled with all sorts of different skills. The skill of communication, the skill of relationships, lots of different things. And the more things you can acquire in your toolkit along the way, the more powerful you will be. And sometimes it's about the relationships you've built, not the people you know, but the relationships you've built with them. Because I know a lot of people, but it doesn't necessarily mean I can pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, can you be here for me? Today is a perfect example of how those relationships have cultivated my toolkit, or have grown my toolkit, because we're hosting an event that has built basically all on those relationships. We are pulling this together, and it's amazing how successful it's coming out because of those skill sets. I learned that from her. I learned that you have to educate yourself, and you have to continue doing so no matter what. You have to really never stop living, never stop learning, because if you stop learning, you stop living and you stop growing. So it's definitely something that I've taken to heart, and you see me trying to educate myself on every sort of different aspect of every industry, in the hospitality industry, in the just event industry, even mixology classes sometimes, just to see what else I can bring to the table for my industry. And then, you know, motivation-wise, I'm always trying to sign up for whatever class would probably help me grow my skills. So that's Regla Carrillo, which was the VP of HR at the time when I was there, is definitely one of those people that's a huge influencer in my life. And like Maria said, those relationships, the family heart, everything that you're doing from the heart, you have to know, even if it's not the main thing to do, you have to know that it's going to be good. It's definitely going to be good because it's coming from the heart.
So Ali, obviously, you know, we all have male mentors and influencers in our life as well as female. But as a woman who worked in that construction business, and I was somebody that was in that world for a long time too, so I know that, Connie actually asked a question, one of our attendees, and said, how do you get around men who are trying to purposely block your growth? Now, you might not have happened, this might not have happened to you, but what advice would you give Connie?
You were breaking up when you said, how do
you get around men who are trying to purposely block your growth? Even though you might not have had this experience, what advice would you give Connie?
Yes, I have. I've had various men block my growth by just simply saying, oh, well, you're doing great where you're at. And sometimes it's definitely hindering your success. You know what you do is you just continue doing a great job and surpassing every expectation that is presented in front of you, because what ends up happening is that if you stop being consistent, then that's when, oh, that was just to show off. So I've done it. There was a situation where the person that was sitting on the board said, no, well, you know, you can't do that. You can't be the one up on stage getting the limelight, and really trying to block the way I was doing something. And I just, honestly, I resigned. I resigned and I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to working my own business and making a success for myself, because it got to the point that you can't just fix yourself on what one person's telling you. You have to keep trying, because you can't stop at the moon. You really, really have to keep going. There are no limits if you don't want any. If you want to keep going to the...
Thanks, Ali. Well, we have just a couple of minutes left before I do some closing remarks, and I wanted to ask Ruth to come back on. There's a question that came in from Andy Campanella Henrik, who's actually our Morris County chapter president, and she asked, how does your Hispanic origins impact your work? Ruth?
Well, my Hispanic background is what makes me go in the world with everything I do. I'm always very let's say I'm always aware that I come from a Hispanic background, and that those cultural differences are gonna make me be more aware of where I am and what I do and what I say. But I think it gives me a lot of value, because I have all this religious background, moral values, and all kinds of knowledge and experience of two worlds. So I think those possibilities are what makes us different and help us, you know, drive in this world.
Thank you, Ruth. I know that Star would like to come back on, so Star, I'm inviting you to come back on. I think she has a final question for you guys.
Okay, wow. I just want to point out that I am working the network. I have a meeting to go to. I'm actually eChaptering you from the back of the car on my way to the meeting. So you know that this actually works, and I am 100% committed to what we're doing here, because this is the power of networking. There was a couple of questions that were going on that I just could not resist getting involved in. So let me first start by saying I love to quote the great Madeleine Albright, our former Secretary of State, when saying, there is a special place in hell for women who don't help other women. All boats are lifted by a rising tide. And so NAPW exists for the sole purpose of helping other women be successful. We're supposed to reach our hand out to each other. So the first thing we have to do as women is be supportive of each other. Number two, when you find that a man is blocking your progress, you're not allowed to step on people to get ahead, but you are allowed to figure out a way to go around them if they are in your way. And that is something that I have made my entire career on. Be the best at what you do. Know more about a subject than anybody else in the room. And don't be afraid to tell people what you know. It's okay. When you tell people who you are, they actually will believe you, but you got to show them. So you got to bring the skill set, you have to bring the professionalism, and you have to walk into the space that God has created for you. So my last question to all of you, as you can see the sun beaming down, you know I'm really in the car. My last question to all of the panelists, and I want to thank you for participating, is this is my favorite question, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received as a professional woman, and the worst piece of advice that you did not take?
Ruth, can we start with you?
Yes. I believe that I always say, and I write about it, I call it the 4 Ds. And for the advice I can give everybody or anybody is the 4 words that start with a D. You have to have desire, you have to have drive, you have to have determination, and you have to be focused in your life to develop yourself. So if you're able to do those 4 Ds, I think that you're going to be thriving. And the best advice I never took was that women cannot be engineers. That's my profession, and I was most of the time the only woman in the classroom, but I was able to finish my career and graduate.
Thank you, Ruth. Maria, Andrea, are you there? Can you come back on and tell us?
Yes. I would say the best advice I got in my career, you know, when I came to the States to work here, and I was facing struggling how to adapt to corporate America, the best advice was get a mentor that is male and white. Is that what you're trying to learn how to manage? Is that what you're trying to differentiate yourself from as a leader? Get that mentor. And I thought it was the best advice I got, because I got the time one-on-one with a mentor to ask all those questions that I was not able to ask in a group setting, and also to be very upfront and honest with that person to help me adapt to the corporate America culture here.
Thank you, Maria, Andrea. Ali, last but not least.
Thank you. I think the best advice I ever got was never settle. If you really want to be the president of the firm, then go for it. Don't give up. And if it can't be at that firm, maybe it's your own firm. Maybe it's another company in a different place. But never settle for second best. Always try to reach your goals no matter what. And then the worst advice that I ever got, that I ever took, was, well, you know, that's what it is. And just leave it like that. I hate that. There's nothing that I hate more in this life than for someone telling me, oh no, well, that it is what it is, you have to leave it like that. Because personally, it's when I challenge myself even more to make a difference and to do something about it.
Thanks, Ali. Well, I want to pipe in, actually. The best piece of advice that I have been given is to listen to your gut. And I know Maria Andrea pointed this out, talking about using your gut to drive you. And the worst bit of advice that I ever got was actually something that I gave to myself, and I won't do again, is that don't listen to your gut. Anyway, thank you, ladies. A thoroughly enjoyable conversation, and a lot to be learned from how the core roots of your culture have driven so many women to professional success. The broad diversity is what drives this country, and I'm proud to be part of this, becoming a US citizen in 2013 myself. As we wrap up our Hispanic Heritage eChapter event, I'd like to thank our panelists, Maria Andrea Gerling Ospina, Ruth Garcia Corrales, and Alyssa Ramos, and our VIP spotlights, Camille Shepherd Parrish, Jacqueline Robinson, and Jamila Brown. Today we had over 600 members who registered for our event, so this was wonderful. We thank you all for attending, and also to thank Star for leading off our eChapter event, Kim, Terry, and Sam for chatting with the attendees, Karen Slusser, National Project Director, Marketing and Communications, for assisting with all things IT today, and the NAPW team as a whole for working so hard to bring our eChapter to life. We'll be hosting the next eChapter bi-weekly until the new year, and the next one will be October 7th at noon Eastern Time, and is Breast Cancer Awareness Month on the NAPW Foundation calendar. We'll be inviting NAPW VIP members along with our foundation partner BCRF to be part of a discussion on how their extensive research has impacted the cure towards breast cancer and how it is saving lives, members' personal experiences with this disease, and how it has impacted them, their families, and friends. Corporate events coming up are the Professional Diversity Career Fair, October 1st in Boston from 2 till 6, followed by an NAPW hosted networking event that is free to all our members from 5 till 7 at the Sheraton Boston Hotel. Star and I will be in attendance. Star, as our host, will be facilitating a special segment, the Power of One panel, with special guest Yvonne Garcia, who is the Senior Vice President and Global Head of Client Solutions and PMO of the Investment Manager Services Group for State Street Corporation. NAPW National Networking Summit will be held in New York City, November 6th at the Metropolitan Pavilion from 11 till 6. This is going to be a fabulous day with the Foundation Luncheon kicking off the event, supporting our 4 philanthropic partners at 11 a.m. Please visit napw.com events page for full agenda, and registration is there for both events. Also a reminder that post eChapter, there will be a short survey sent out with the recorded version of today's event. Please take a moment to fill this out. Your feedback is very important to us. I thank you all again for joining us today, and if you wish to find out more information on being a VIP member spotlight presenter or panelist, please reach out to me via email at echapter@napw.com. NAPW wishes you a very productive and successful day. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Louise and Star. It was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful to have you all here.